Welcome. We are back. We are witnessing a official recession and a equity rally within that recession, not recession. So yeah, it's the biggest week of the year for the market. It's absolute insanity. Crypto's going crazy. A lot of the swings are doing very well. I'm going to be starting off with crypto, then I'm going to be talking about some other markets. I'll talk about my thoughts on the overall stock market. There's a new swing I alerted for all of you today. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on that. I'm going to give updates on the other swings. We had GDP numbers this morning. Just so many different things going on. So, I don't even really know where to start. Let's go take a look at the Discord for a second. So we had earnings after the close today. We had Apple, Amazon, Roku, Intel. Roku was down 26% after market close on earnings. Apple was up a few percent, up 3%, and Amazon was up 14%. So huge move there for Amazon. We're going to talk about all of those. Let me make sure I put Roku on my watch list. But yeah, after hours, we've already got the QQQ up over 1%. On the flip side, though, the ARKK ETF is down 1%. Even though you have like some of those mega caps really up after hours, you have something like Roku dropping that. So some interesting price action after hours. I didn't even see what Intel is at. Let me go check that really quickly. But yeah, there's a lot going on for sure. Crypto is doing very well. We're going to talk about that in a second. Intel's down 8% after hours. So let me actually pull up those charts for a little bit later. Intel and Roku. So, 1 second. So yeah, let's get started with crypto, and then we'll talk about all the earnings and everything else. Huge day for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Thankfully, I made an exception if you watched the stream 2 nights ago where I didn't actually mark these as break evens when they fell back down to the entry. I said, I'm just going to let them either hit their targets or their stops and we'll see what happens. And thankfully, they're making very nice moves after that. And this all started from, and again, this is from Tuesday night stream, those bullish pin bars, which were pretty much on like all the cryptos we were looking at. We had those bullish pin bar candles on the daily. And since then, since that candle closed, the bullish pin bar, Bitcoin's up about 13%. If we go over to the 4-hour, we also were talking about this wedge pattern. It broke out of that, and it also broke right back out of this zone it's been in, this yellow zone over here. So huge move, and you're now retesting the highs of this whole entire rally. You actually did pull back a little bit right off that previous high from July 20th. So you're just testing that right now. I mean, now that you made another higher low, I do think that you can eventually break this 24.2K level and hopefully hit that first target of the swing trade. So hopefully we get that pretty soon. Currently the Bitcoin swing is up 13% since it was alerted. Another crypto swing, which actually just hit its second target today, is Ethereum. So this actually has now hit the second target at 1700 pretty much for a 49% gain since the alert. And it's right now testing this huge 1700 level, which you can see used to be support over here and even over here. So now it's testing that as resistance. On lower time frames, you can see that previous support over here. You're pretty much getting above it, and now you're trying to flip it into a support. So that's where we had on Ethereum. Moving on to Litecoin, the other crypto swing I alerted, getting very close to the first target. Currently the Litecoin swing is up about 13% since I alerted it. And again, this is what I was talking about, another higher low. That's exactly what I was hoping for when we were dipping earlier in the week, and that's exactly what we're getting. So can't complain. There's really no resistance until that first target of the Litecoin swing. So hoping it just gets there. And then finally, we have the Chainlink crypto swing, which is up 13% since the alert. And yet another higher low is in place. We are retesting this like mid $7 resistance level. So keep an eye out for that. So huge day for cryptos across the board. I really think that not only is it just great price action, but it's really helping out the charts. I think it's really strengthening the technical arguments just for the crypto market in general right now. I'm probably the most optimistic about crypto than I've been probably in around a year, I'd say. So we'll see what happens now with all of that price action. Let's move on to some other markets, and let's get started with something I've been warning about the whole entire week. I've been screaming that I'm bearish on this chart since we were at that right shoulder. And yeah, the US 10-year is now breaking down from this bearish head and shoulders pattern. And again, it's no coincidence that this is happening while we're seeing all these large cap Tech stocks absolutely crushing it on earnings. Well, not all of them, but a good amount of them doing very well. And obviously the market rallying very nicely as well. So again, this is the type of pattern that can reverse your uptrend, and you're now testing a breakdown of that pattern. So I'm looking for more selling on the 10-year over the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. And then moving on to crude oil futures, pretty much a flat day. Not much of any change since yesterday. Let's take a look at metals really quickly. Gold moving even higher off that support bounce at 1677 with the classic bullish divergence on the MACD. Silver doing the same, and also silver just broke out of this wedge pattern. Again, classic bullish divergence. If you ever get confused by any of the terms I use, I know I talk very fast because there's so many charts I have to look at every single night on stream, and I don't want to like drag it out. But if you ever get confused by terms I use, my free course is in the description. It's on YouTube. You just click the link and you can see all these videos about everything I'm talking about on the stream. Then we have the dollar currency index, pretty much a flat day. It's still testing this support level at 106. You can see all these lows over here. Just testing that for right now. And yeah, those are your other markets. Just a quick breakdown of those. Nothing too crazy over there. So let's get started with the stock market. So as of this morning, we are officially in a recession, and market does not care. All right, so we actually moved higher throughout the day. Really interesting price action. If we go down to lower time frames, let's go take a look at what happened. So you opened up, looks like you opened up flat pretty much. Then you had this initial dip in the morning, and then right over here you ended up, there's actually a bit of a wedge pattern over here initially, kind of like a bull flag. You ended up breaking out of that, and that pretty much set you up for autopilot mode throughout the whole entire day. This is actually something I was watching in the morning, and I actually did get calls like right at these lows personally, like somewhere around over here. I did sell them early. I probably sold them somewhere around like over here. So I kind of just played like this leg of it with calls. But if you're in premium, I was keeping an eye on this pattern right off the open. Let's go back and find it if I can. There you can see it. So literally 10:34, about an hour after the open, we were down, and I was looking at this hidden bullish divergence and this bull flag, and it eventually broke out, and then you just kind of shot up right after that. So that was really the price action. You shot up, and you just kept going. I was even looking at this breakdown over here. I actually alerted puts on that breakdown. Didn't really do much. The puts ended up stopping out on this candle right over here. So it was just a classic autopilot day mode for the market. You also did get to this 406 area, and then you just consolidated around that level. If we go to higher time frames, you can see that this kind of, I would not call this a bear flag. I'd say it's too large for a bear flag, but this upsloping channel is pretty much developing. And these are all the levels I've charted out. You obviously filled this gap over here yesterday, and you were able to break above that level today. That's what we were talking about last night on stream. So now you have this 407 resistance level, which used to be support back in the beginning of June. It was resistance in the middle of May, support in the end of April. So this 407 level is a very big level that you want to keep an eye out for tomorrow in terms of resistance. And then in terms of support, I'm going to be honest, there's not a lot of support directly beneath you. I mean, you have all these little supports that you can see, all these lines over here. But if we're talking about like major support, I'd say it's all the way down over here around 400. Kind of maybe anywhere in this gap fill area. And I know I'm just kind of drawing all over my chart, but you know, there's quite a bit of downside room if you want to get a little bit of a pullback for the market. So I don't really have much of a bias going into tomorrow. I just want to see, you know, whether or not we're able to break above 407, or if we can't, then maybe we can go down to lower time frames and then take a look at this ascending broadening wedge idea. So I have a couple different things planned out for tomorrow. Again, if we break over 407, maybe that could lead to more upside. And if we can't break over it and we break this demand line, maybe pull back to the lower $400 area. So those are my thoughts on the low time frames. You do have triple classic bearish divergence on the 15-minute, and you are overbought. So you are showing a little bit of bearish divergence here on the low time frames heading into tomorrow, and you have been rallying like the whole entire week. Apart from this, actually no, that's not true. You've been rallying pretty much since I think Wednesday. When was the 27th? Yeah, since yesterday morning. So rallying since then. We've already pretty much passed like the bulk of the news for this week. We're past the FOMC stuff. We passed the earnings. We passed the GDP. So all those macro things I already was talking about coming into the week, we've now passed all of them, and we've kind of rallied throughout all of them as well. So we're kind of on the other side of the fence now. I think, you know, if you watch my streams beginning of the week, I was talking a lot about how it's all really just going to be in based on these news events. Now we're kind of going back to the price action. We've already seen all the numbers and everything, and now it's going to be, all right, what's the price action after everything is kind of settled? And that's what we're probably going to be seeing tomorrow and maybe Monday. Wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of just consolidation, because have been going pretty crazy lately. So, just go sideways for a little bit and then we'll figure it out from there. But I think maybe this is the point where the volatility might cool down a little bit. You've been on an absolute crazy run, and you're now also testing a resistance level on the daily. So this 406 level is at 406, 407 area. It's a little bit of a zone. It's nothing huge, but you can see these lows over here, this low over here, a couple highs here. So you're entering that resistance now. It's kind of the first major resistance on the daily I've seen for the SPY since it was able to break above 383 or 384. So that's really where you're at. In terms of this whole entire bear market or whatever, you have now made a 382 Fibonacci retrace from your high to your low, or from your low back up to your, however you word it. It's always very confusing to talk about Fibonacci levels, but so you're also kind of lining that up with 382. So this is probably an area where you're going to see a little bit of turbulence. I mean, maybe if you somehow keep autopiloting above 407, then you get continuation, but I do think that you might start to, at least if you're not going to pull back, at least kind of cool down on just going straight up for a little bit. Maybe just have a laddering process along the way. We'll see what happens. So that's the SPY. Then we have the QQQ, which is up 1% after hours. So after hours, the QQQ is currently sitting at 313.5. So it's kind of all the way up over here, kind of at this high over here from June 2nd. You're pretty much at that after hours. We'll see what it looks like in the morning. But yeah, you did reclaim this critical blue zone over here. It used to be a high and a low. You got above that yesterday. You saw follow through price action to the upside today. And like I was saying last night on stream, the resistance I see is kind of around really where you're right under. So again, after hours, the QQQ is right over here. So yeah, if we do look at it just from a daily standpoint, and again, this is assuming that you gap up tomorrow into this area, the QQQ is entering resistance on the daily. I mean, this dates all the way back to over here. So I'll look at these lows from last May. So the QQQ is approaching resistance on the daily. And like we just talked about, the SPY is as well. So do keep that in mind. It's been a really, really good past couple of weeks for the market. We finally got a nice consolidation. And again, for the first time, we didn't just go up and then completely sell off right down again. We actually went up and then we flipped our resistance into a support and we went back up. So it's great that we did that, but you've already had a lot of good moves to the upside, and maybe you are going to see a little bit of a pullback off these resistance levels. Just see how they react to the resistances, but that is something to keep an eye on. And yeah, on the lower time frames for the Qs, you were able to get above this resistance zone that we were talking about last night from these highs and these lows. You got above that. I'd say the next resistance on low time frames, and again, you're above this after hours already. So 311.5, you're already above that. And then after that, I have 317 from these lows over here. So, or 317.7. So those are the levels on the Qs. Nasdaq's pretty similar, entrant resistance, just like the others. Really nothing else to talk about apart from that. It's going to be retesting these highs over here. And then it's kind of this zone is from that high or that low in these highs. So we're entering probably the first big zone for the market in a long time, because we've kind of just been in that choppy area, really in the middle of nowhere. So now I think is the first time we're entering an actual legitimate test for the market from a technical standpoint. So we have that going on. Next up, we have the ARK ETF. It's just testing this resistance around 46, 47. It's kind of still hanging on to this wedge. Nothing really changed today. It was pretty flat. And this is the big one. All right, this is what we were talking about last night on stream, where all the other market indices, they already broke out, and they've already been running since they broke out. The Nasdaq broke out 2 weeks ago. The SPY broke out last week. And again, we talked about those while they were happening. And we have our latest market index to break out, which is the small caps. So this is the first time that you've closed above this trend line ever. You've broken out of that. You do still have one more test, which is what we talked about last night on stream. Great, you've broken out of this supply line, but it's not over yet. You still do have that 188 level, which was these lows over here. And it lines up with this bearish bat harmonic pattern. This is something I was talking about all the way over here. I drew this out on stream and I'm maybe we got a little bit of resistance here. So big test for small caps. You did a great job breaking out on the daily, but short term, this is your resistance. And again, I'm repeating myself nonstop, but we literally just talked about the resistance that you're entering for the QQQ, the SPY, the NASDAQ. So we're entering resistance for the market. I think that's really the big point I want to get across for this stream. You know, it doesn't mean we're going to reject it for sure. It's just something that you want to keep an eye on. But nice breakout as well for the Russell 2000. And even if you do initially reject the resistance, right, maybe you back test and then you eventually break it. So it's not the end of the world just because you're entering resistance, even if you do pull back. You've already been on a very nice move the past couple weeks. So I'd probably rather see a pullback and then a back test than just going straight up. I think it's just healthier price action, to be honest. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the market overall. We're past the earnings. Let's go look at some of those earnings names now. Let's get started with Amazon, which had a huge move up like 14% after hours. And I've shown this on stream before already, but I alerted Amazon as a swing probably somewhere around like the middle of June to premium members. And yeah, if we go to the after hours chart, it finally has hit the third target of the swing. So the third target on the swing was 135. I alerted this swing trade on Amazon at 106, so 28% profit. Nice move there, of course, thanks to earnings. But yeah, this is a name that we've been talking about for a long time because of that huge $100 level, which used to be resistance. Then it flipped into support. You broke this trend line, you back tested the trend line, and then you had the earnings. It was kind of like just step by step, things kept getting better. I haven't looked at the earnings report, but obviously the reaction to it was pretty nice. So you made this move like all the way up to this area. You know, just looking at Amazon as a chart. And again, remember, you're not over here. This is not showing extended hours. You're actually up over here, but you do have this resistance at 136 from these lows. You got a gap fill around 140, another resistance at 144. So those are a few more levels for Amazon. But nice move on earnings. Apple was up a few percent. Let me actually take a look at this. So this yellow line is the 200-day moving average. That's currently at, can't see it. That's currently at 158.8. So 158.8. You're actually well above that after hours. So if you do open, you know, at the same price tomorrow morning, and again, I'm sure pre-market's going to have its ups and downs, but if you were to open at the same price that Apple closed after hours, it would actually be a break above the 200-day moving average. So keep that in mind. It's at 162 currently. If it does break that and it does open up at this 162 price, which is where I'm putting this line over here, then you're almost like back up to where you were. I mean, that's a huge rally. I mean, Apple's probably one of the best performing like large caps on this way back up. Let's take a look at the Fibonacci retrace. So from its high that it put in earlier, Apple's pretty much made about a 60, it's gone back up 60% of the way. If we take a look at something like Amazon, I think it's around over here, it's gone up about 50% of the way. If we take a look at something like Tesla, let's see, it's only gone up about like 40% of the way from where it was topped out and then where it went down to. So Apple is kind of leading from a lot of those large caps. So you have that earnings move as well. We also had Intel report. It sold off after hours. And it looks like it's retesting the yearly lows. So you have that going, or not going well for Intel. Kind of is like a mini bear flag short term. But this is an interesting chart. If you really zoom out over here, over to the weekly, and again, you're back down around these levels after hours, you are pretty much back testing this resistance you had from like the beginning of the 2000s until you broke it in 2017. So this like 35-ish level is a very key level to keep an eye on for Intel. And now you're kind of back at it with the earnings sell-off. And then this whole entire trend has just been like this down sloping channel throughout the year. And then you had Roku, which got demolished. So before earnings, it was just kind of chopping sideways in this range between like 73 and 103 since April. So it's literally been going sideways for like 2.5 months or whatever it is. And now, well, it broke the range to the downside, and yeah. So you kind of broke this whole entire level of consolidation on those earnings. Whatever happened was not reacted to well. And in terms of the next levels for ROKU, you've got this 73. That's kind of the bottom of the range. So you've got that level. Then you've got 58. Those are probably the bigger ones. You got a gap all the way down at 34, but yeah, I mean, pretty crazy. This looks like a lot of the .com era bubble charts, to be honest. But yeah, those are the earnings charts and stuff. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Also had another premium swing hit a target today, pretty much, which is ChargePoint. I actually alerted this like literally on Monday. I alerted ChargePoint as a swing on Monday to premium members, and I mean, high of the day was 1574. The target was 1587. It was like 0.5% away from the first target, but yeah, nice move. I mean, just from where I alerted it to where it closed at today, it's already up 15%. And the reason I'm also bringing this up on stream is because, one, it's now testing a breakout of this shorter time frame wedge, and then two, we were literally talking about this last night on stream. So one of you requested ChargePoint as a taker request, and I hid all of these like reward to risks boxes because it's a premium swing. But we did talk about how this is like a huge wedge, like a huge falling wedge, which are the green lines, and then a shorter broadening wedge, which are these white lines, and literally played out the next morning. So that's another premium swing that pretty much hit a target. There was other premium swing that hit a target pretty much, which is StarBucks. Alerted this at 78. Not a huge trade, but made a nice move up towards this first target. So nice day for a few of the premium swings hitting targets. Also nice day for the non-premium swings as well. I'm going to get started with the swing I actually alerted today for all of you, which is FCEL. And actually, whenever I think about ChargePoint, I don't even know if they do the same thing, but I think about like ChargePoint, FCEL, Blink, Plug. Like I kind of group all those just in my head into a very similar category. And I think like Blink and Plug are like more like EV charging. I don't even really know what FCEL and ChargePoint sounds like EV charging too. But let me just look at their website really quickly. So you do, let's go over to this chart over here. So you don't have earnings on FCEL until September is what TradingView is saying. I don't know if that's completely true. But yeah, I'm seeing advancing fuel cell carbon capture, let's see, use cases. Again, I'm not good with all this stuff. Don't watch the streams for my breakdowns on companies. Watch it for the charts. But yeah, it just looks like a bunch of random energy stuff. I'm not going to go too much into it. Again, I'm looking at this from a purely charting perspective. But yeah, FCEL came across my scanner today, and what am I looking at over here? You can see this yellow inflection zone. It used to be resistance back in 2020. Right over here, you ended up breaking it, and once you broke above that resistance is when it really went to the moon. I mean, look at this. It broke this, like you could barely even see it now. This yellow resistance, which was a huge resistance for pretty much a whole entire year, okay? You broke above it, and then what did you do after that? We really have to zoom out here. But after you broke that resistance, you went up like, can't even really see it. You went up like 700% in like a few months. And then what did it do after that? It spent the last almost 2 years falling all the way back down to that same exact level. And then if we really zoom in, it spent the last 3 months using that level as support. So let's go back in time, all right? You spent a year using that level as resistance. Now you've just spent 3 months using that level of support. And in between those two scenarios, you went all the way up and all the way back down. So the context of this is very interesting. This reminds me of a lot of like, I wouldn't say like post-COVID crash plays because most of them weren't all the way up here, but like there was a lot of these, if like you go back and look at charts like right after the COVID crash, a lot of them did this similar price action where they back tested like from like 2015 or 2016, they flipped that. So you have that, and then you also have this huge falling wedge. It was up nicely in the morning, then it pulled back, and you've got huge volume today, and then this hidden bullish divergence on the daily as well. So a lot of different things going on there. And it was showing up on my scanner, so this is the new swing that I've alerted for everybody. I put the stop loss under this huge yellow zone that we were talking about around 283. Entry is pretty much the current price, and 3 targets was 435, which is this high over here, 475, which is these highs over here, and then 530, which is kind of like this low over here. You know, there's other resistances I've charted as well, and that's really what I'm looking at here. So this is the new swing, not financial advice. Let's look at the other swings now. CLOV getting closer to that first target again. It's up 17% since the alert. Very nice move. You're pretty much testing this resistance, and I don't know if you're still watching Seek, but you were talking about this cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders kind of looking formation. Whatever you want to call it, you're pretty much testing the neckline or the resistance zone. So CLOV is testing a huge area right now. It's a huge make or break area. I mean, look, just think about the psychology of this. You were at this level about a week ago. You rejected it, but what did you do after you rejected it? You made a higher low. So after the bears were able to reject this level, they failed to break it to a new low, and actually the bulls are able to make a higher low. So the psychology of that is kind of displaying that the bulls are still somewhat in control. And now if they can just crack above this level, like we talked about last night on stream, like if we just delete everything over here, there's really, if you get above this like zone over here, there's just like nothing in this whole entire area in terms of resistance. So this is a huge test for CLOV. We'll see what happens. And hopefully hits that first target. Uber was up 1% today. Nothing really has changed on this swing, to be honest. Earnings are coming up soon, keep that in mind. Best Buy was up 5% today, got back above that 75 level we've been talking about on stream, which is this high over here, and it was a gap fill. So you broke above that level today, and now you're kind of retesting the highs of the swing so far at $78. So the Best Buy swing is currently up 12% since the alert. And again, Fisker was marked as a break even because it fell back down to the entry, but nice bounce today. We were talking about this last night on stream. The lower time frames, I was talking about this little range that was developing, and it broke that to the upside, literally gapped up at the open. It made like a huge, it was up like 8%, like minutes, not, I don't know, minutes, but like in like the first hour of the day, it was up 8%. Then it sold all the way back down and then went back up. I actually did grab some lotto calls, like literally at this exact low, like right over here. And I did share that with premium members as well, but I did take profits like around over here as well because it's a bear flag, and then it kind of double bottomed and ran later in the day. But it was really interesting price action from Fisker today. Just EVs in general. Tesla had a good day as well. So let me just finish the swings and we'll go look at some other charts. But SHAK, this is a swing that's already hit its first target, and it broke above this high and this high, that resistance we were talking about. It got above it today. So now there's not much resistance until the second target for SHAK. If it hits that, that'll be a 30% profit. So in an area with no resistance, hopefully it keeps going. And then SOFI down a couple percent today. Again, this one already hit its first target, but showing a little bit of resistance around 660-ish. So those are all the swings. It's been a very good time lately for the swings. This is the weekly sheet so far. As you can see, pretty much all of them except for one premium swing is in profit or it's up. And then yeah, that was pretty much the swings from today. I already told you all about the SPY alert from this morning. I also alerted GameStop calls. We talked about this last night. I alerted some GameStop calls in premium today. Actually, so if we even go, all right, if you watched last night's stream, we talked about this demand line on the daily, and then we also talked about this 30-minute channel. And this morning, right at the open, I saw that it was breaking out of that channel, and I got burned. Yeah, I looked very different at the open. It didn't look like this horrible, ugly shooting star red candle. It was actually like, you know, it was breaking out. It was at the highs. It was a green candle. It even looked like a bullish, it was a potential bullish engulfing candle when it was at this level, because it was engulfing these candles. And it just was a big fake out, and I ended up getting stopped like over here. But later in the day, I actually did alert this to premium members. I saw like a triangle pattern forming. I originally had it charted like something like this, and it was very quick. Yeah, I alerted it like probably somewhere around over here, and then right up over here they went up like 20%. Then it dipped down, and then when it dipped down, actually, and this is something to keep in mind for tomorrow, but I redrew this triangle, and if you look at it like this, you kind of broke back out of the triangle, and then you back tested the breakout, and then into the close you went higher on your highest volume of the day, which is not too rare for your closing candle, but on very nice volume you broke out of this 3373 level, which is like a low time frame resistance. So GameStop is on watch for tomorrow morning with that lower time frame setup, but it's not just 5 minute. Again, if we go to those higher time frames, you have hidden bullish divergence on the 15-minute chart, and if we really zoom out, that's what we were talking about last night, you have this like down sloping channel or wedge that you actually just broke out of. So something to keep in mind. Just another name I'll be watching tomorrow. Let's talk about GameStop's brother AMC. kind of pulled back down to 14.19 support today and then bounced off that. I actually did play AMC calls as well, right over here. It was a really nice trade actually. It's probably my best trade today, I think. Maybe no, the SPY calls were probably the best trade. It's probably my second best trade today, but I got AMC calls around over here and then I sold them like right at this resistance. But then later in the day, it kind of retested that same resistance. So let me set an alert here actually. Keep an eye on that like 1480-ish level for AMC. It rejected it twice today, but if it gets above that tomorrow, then there's not much in between that level and this high from yesterday. No, literally this high from this morning. Wow. So it shot up right at the morning, hit that 1529 level, and then it pulled all the way back down to 1419, and then it kind of retested that. So yeah, if it breaks back above, there's not much resistance till 1529. I don't know if we looked at AMC on the 5-minute last night, but I want to check something really quickly. While I'm doing this, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you didn't already. And check out the links in the Discord, or check out the links in the description. That's where you can find the link to the Discord. And then when you get to the Discord, check out the links in the Discord. I don't know if I showed on the 5-minute, I didn't, so let me just do something really quickly. So this is a screenshot from last night's stream. Let me make it bigger. So this is a screenshot I just pulled from last night's stream. And you can see here, literally last night on stream, this is me in the orange shirt. We had these levels charted out and I showed these levels 1419 and 1471, right? You could see you were right in between them. You were at 1445, right? So this was on my 15-minute chart, as you can see over here. I had both of that support level at 1419 and then resistance at 1475 charted. And look at the price action today, right? Let's move to the side for a second. Literally bounced right off that 1419 support that I showed last night on stream. And then when you ran back up, you found resistance right at that 1475 level. I don't know, it's just a cool use of support and resistance that I was able to identify really quickly. But yeah, really nice to see those levels getting respected well. And this is what I always talk about on the stream, just a little bit of an educational segment. Go to your different time frames, zoom out, and then look left, look for the highs and lows, and you can find a lot of these areas to take profits at, to enter trades, to stop out at. This is how you place your trades. This is how you execute your trades. You got to look left on your charts. So nice respecting the levels there, the TA playing out very nicely. And yeah, heading into tomorrow, keep an eye again on that 1475-ish area. You can see how many times this was tested as support and resistance in the past, and now it's testing as resistance again. But if it gets above it, who knows what happens, especially if GameStop, and you know how GameStop and AMC like moving together sometimes, if GameStop makes that breakout run, just something to keep in mind for tomorrow. Maybe even not just tomorrow. I mean, who knows if the market pulls back, but just in general. So that's GameStop and AMC. And that was pretty much it from what I want to talk about tonight on the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like button if you didn't already, and hit that subscribe button. Timestamps should be up soon. It's going to be the final stream of the week. I literally forgot to drink my whole entire tea, so I got to go warm this up again, but I guess I'll drink that after the stream. So yeah, I don't know. I could head out right now, but we could also do taker requests for a bit. If there's any takers in the chat that you want me to take a look at, drop them right now, or I guess you're not in the chat yet if you haven't dropped them, but it's been a long day. It's been a long day. So if there are any take requests, drop them in the chat right now, and I can take a look at those before I get out of here. GDX, we were looking at this recently. Somebody just asked me about this on the Discord, so I'm not sure if it was you. But maybe I wasn't looking at this recently. What gold? I was looking at some sort of gold something recently. I don't know, but falling wedge breakout, classic bullish divergence. Looks like it actually flipped these resistances at 25 over here into support. That was your low that you just put in. So next resistance now I see is all the way up at like 29 almost from these lows over here. So that is GDX. Okay, yeah, it was you. All right, perfect. Let's see. Yeah, both sides been doing pretty well lately. Oh, but it pulled back later, it seems. Yeah, blue. I don't really know. Trend is not your friend right now. I don't know if there's any support here at all. It's kind of near all-time lows. Maybe you look at this as like a wedge. It broke out of the wedge trend line, but then it just sold off again. So I don't know. This is something that I just don't think like technicals would help you out that much on. Like you can chart the levels. I'll chart the levels for you, but I don't know. It's just not the easiest thing to really chart, if I'm being honest. Twitter. This is something interesting. Keep an eye on Twitter. Let me actually set up an alert over here as well. If Twitter gets above like this 41, mid $41 level, then it opens up a pretty interesting range. Not much resistance for at least until 42. And then you got the 200-day moving average at 42.70. But yeah, this is a resistance Twitter's been fighting for a while. And actually, this was the exact resistance that it broke above it, I think, right before like all that Twitter stuff was happening. Or that's obviously Twitter, all the Elon Musk stuff was happening. So it's like pretty much back at that same exact price. And yeah, just keep an eye on that potential breakout level. BMBL. If you just want to use the trend line for the whole entire chart, it's technically breaking out of this wedge. Like the whole entire chart's a wedge. It's technically breaking out of that like as of like yesterday. So that's actually interesting. These are some more levels that I hadn't charted before. And then hopefully you just hold this demand line as well. So it's at a very big technical area for sure. And then HKD. Can't do much today, just look at it. Yeah, we call this the star pattern. This is the Patrick Star candle pattern. So there's your take on that. But yeah, I don't know what happened with 8MTD Digital, but nice move today, up 135%. All right, so that's going to be it for the stream. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. If you trade tomorrow, good luck and peace out.